Okay, here we are again. What we're going to do today in this session is that we're going to use the empty VirtualBox VM that we created in the last session, and we're going to install our Ubuntu desktop into it. Just make sure before we start that you have your Ubuntu 14.04 desktop ISO connected through to your IDE secondary master, which is the last step we did in our last session. We're now just going to hit start. Now this will start to boot up our machine, and it will connect to our ISO, and it's just like you were on a physical machine with your DVD in the DVD drive. If you see these little messages come up, don't worry about them at the moment. Okay, so some of the things with VirtualBox is that if you want to type outside of the, I'm just going to move this up so we can see what we're doing. If you want to type outside the virtual machine, you normally just have to hit the right control button. To have your mouse go back inside the virtual machine, just click your mouse inside the virtual machine and everything will be right again. Okay, we're going to install Ubuntu. Now, one of the things, we must have at least 6.5 gig. Well, we've got 8 gig, so that'll be fine. That's hard drive space available on our virtual hard drive, that file that we did back in the last step, the last video. And you must make sure that you are connected to the internet. If you're not connected to the internet, sometimes it just doesn't work. Now, we could download updates while installing, and we could install the third-party software which gives us our codecs for playing our videos and MP3s, but they're not required for the purpose of this assignment. So we'll just hit continue. In this section we have how we're going to install. Now, what are we going to do with our hard drive? In this case, we're going to erase the entire disk and install Ubuntu. Now, it's very important that you make sure that you're inside your Oracle VM VirtualBox. Right? This isn't going to erase the hard drive on your physical machine. It is only a virtual disk image that we're going to erase and install Ubuntu on. So we're going to install now. This just makes sure, this just says, okay, are you sure you want to do this? And we do. Okay, now this is going to take a little while. I'm just going to wait for it to come up and start the installation. Well, actually, our next step is not so much starting the installation. The next step will be making sure where we are. At the moment, it will select that I'm in Sydney. That's correct. As you can see, we have a little map here. I could select the area where I'm in, and I'm going to continue. We're going to have our English keyboard is our layout that we're going to use, and we're just going to check it out to make sure that it works. Right, as you can see, my keyboard does work, so I'm going to continue. We're going to put in a name, Stephen, and we're going to put in a password. I'm just using student as my password. Yes, it is a weak password, but that's okay. Normally I would require my password to log in, but in this case I'm just going to say log in automatically. That way I don't need to worry about entering my password each time I log into this virtual machine. Okay, so now it's copying the files across. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time. You can sit and watch it when you're doing it, and it will go through a little bit of a slideshow. However, for me, right, so we can go through, we've got this little bit of a slideshow that you can go through as it's installing. You can sit and read it. However, at this point here, I'm just going to pause for a while, and I'll come back to you once we have it installed. Welcome back. As you can see, the installation has been completed. Now all I need to do is restart. Now I'm going to hit restart in a second, and that will reboot the full machine back to, well, it'll boot into a desktop. In our next session, what we'll do is we'll complete the assignment or the assessment, which is to change the background of the desktop, and to change some of the power settings, and to shut down the virtual machine. So I'm just going to restart now. You'll see the first part of it start, then I'm going to go away. Okay, and that is it. I shall see you in the next session.